Hello everyone, I'm Faiza Rizvi, editor of Oil and Gas Middle East. Today we're joined by Sami Iskander. He's Petrofac's Group Chief Executive and he joins me today at ADIPEC in Abu Dhabi. Thank you, Sami, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Well, Sami, now as we're seeing a strong recovery of energy demand, we're seeing the landscape change massively. Do you think, with all the countries are scrambling to secure energy supplies, has the argument for net zero weakened?
Listen, I think, the short answer is no. I don't think the argument for net zero has changed from a social, from a political, from a business perspective at all. And if you don't believe me, I think the Secretary General of the United Nations gave a very alarming speech last week where he said we are on our way to 2.5 to 2.8 degree rise. So that would mean flooding, extreme weather, loss of habitat, you name it. So I think the argument for net zero is absolutely here. It is now. I think what we do mix up is the word energy transition. It's energy transition. It's not a lobotomy. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
Overnight, correct.
It needs time. It needs a few decades. We need to invest in oil and gas today responsibly, whether we use gas, which is lower carbon, whether we use carbon capture and sequestration. We need the oil and gas to have this energy security and not the huge impact of price, affordability on people. So this is important, and people have a rough time marrying both those things. It's an energy transition, and of course we need to keep this world for our children, our grandchildren, and we need to meet the 1.5 degree rise as it goes forward. If we move away from that, we need to invest in renewable energy, and the word is investment. I think we've been lacking in investment.
Right.
I think we need a lot of government support, and we see that rather patchy. There, a lot of governments have made national commitments, but the commitments are not being met. So we need those investments to happen. We in Petrofac as a company have made a commitment to be net zero in scope 1 and 2 by 2030, and we're making fantastic progress, to be quite honest. When you start measuring where you're emitting carbon, whether it's in transport, whether it's in lighting in offices and whatnot, we're able to change the electricity in our offices to renewable powers. We're able to change to electric cars. We're able to segregate better and use our waste. So there are ways to do it. We have tied tied ourselves to the mast, as they say. By 2030, we'll be net zero, and we're working on scope 3 to see how we can make a low carbon offering to our customers. It is a long way. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that we're doing a great job and others are not, but I think all of society needs to do it, and the time is now. So it's not oil and gas or 1.5 degrees. We can have oil and gas. We need it today so we can avoid these shocks. And we need to meet the 1.5 degrees, which we're not doing as a society, as the world, a very, very good job at it.
Great, right. No, thank you, Sami. And I think you made some very interesting points. Well, speaking of transition, Sami, I know that Petrofac is so well positioned in the traditional oil and gas market, correct? How are you moving towards more renewable or cleaner energy? How are you doing that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I get asked that question a lot by our investors, believe me. But I think a large part of our business today is oil and gas. And to be quite honest, over the coming 3 years, I don't know whether it's 75 or 80% of our business will remain oil and gas. But when I think of renewable energy or new energy, I think of really 3 buckets that I'd like to position the company in. Greenfield, brownfield, and decommissioning.
Right.
Greenfield, we're focused on 4 areas. So wind, hydrogen, carbon capture and storage, and waste to value. To be honest, hydrogen, waste to value, and CCS, there's a lot of feed or pre-feed type work, a lot of engineering work, and not many projects. In wind, we've been established in wind for 10 years, and we have many wind projects, whether we're constructing or bidding. Right. And I'd like to say we're constructing all our wind projects in the UAE. So there's a strong element of in-country, although we're deploying them in Europe. They're being built in the UAE and shipped there. So I think the focus really is on these things. Greenfield, we're making good progress. Brownfield, which is older fields, we help our customers reduce emissions, manage their fields better, get the uptime up, which lowers the CO2. There's an effort there. So again, we need the hydrocarbons, but we need to have, we don't need the CO2. I think Dr. Sultan said it yesterday. So we help our customers produce the hydrocarbons with less CO2. And then our last offering is around decommissioning, which is really the old fields, which generally produce the most hydrocarbons, helping our customers decommission these fields and removing them safely and again, lowering the footprint. So this is where we're going. To give you just an idea, I mean, I would like, success story with me by 2025 that 20 to 25% of our revenue is coming from those revenue streams.
Excellent. Good to know that, Sami. Really, and when we talk about energy transition, another topic that comes up is attracting younger talent, right? That's one of the main key focuses of companies that are attracting, trying to get new talent on board. How is Petrofac doing that?
With a lot of difficulty. But listen, I think, I go back to when I joined the industry, and I think we all want to everybody wants to join a company that makes a difference in the world.
Right.
And, how we do business is just as important as what we do. We're an engineering company, we build facilities, we do some really interesting things, but how we do them is important. And I always like to stress that when I'm talking to people at universities or people who are interested in joining us.
Right.
We came to the UAE and hired people from the region. At that time, and this is good 25 plus years ago, this was new. And it differentiated us from other competitors, so to speak. I think, the work we're doing around ISG, how do we become net zero? How do we, in simple things, how do we segregate waste in our offices? How do we use less electricity? The diversity of the population. We're not doing a fantastic job, but, we're somewhere below 30% of females in our top leadership. What's the road to 50% or more? And I think these are the things that are important to people. There are jobs. We can give them a very interesting career around engineering, around the technical aspects of it, but they want to know how we are and how it will feel to be part of Petrofac. So if I can say, and I hope some of your audience will be some of these young people, this is a good time to join the industry, and I hope they will consider Petrofac.
Wonderful. Well, Sami, thank you so much for your insights and for sharing your expertise with us on behalf of Oil and Gas Middle East. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.